Hey guys, Melody here with another video, and today's topic that I will be covering is on insurance. So admittedly this took me a lot of time to try and gather as much information on this topic as possible because as you can imagine it's a bit of a dry subject, but it's also more geared towards who you are, what your history is like, and what your preferences are, especially in the type of bike that you want, of course. So, before I do, I just want to say thank you though too for everyone that subscribed recently and before. Thank you so much for that support. For those of you who like my videos and have watched all my videos, thank you so much. As you do know, I love the topic of motorcycles in general. I do only have one right now, but hope to continue having them, have different ones in the future, and continue making these videos as informative as possible. And just for the passion of it too, because it is fun to talk about all these little subjects that are surrounding motorcycles in general. So with insurance, so what I decided to do is, or what I want to do in this video is answer a couple questions that came in. And definitely feel free to comment your thoughts and your experience on what it was like to get insurance, because as I mentioned, it was tough to answer these questions for one. And when I mentioned that it's basically based on your life and your preferences, the first thing I'm going to mention, because if you haven't started calling around different insurance companies to get the best quote, the conversations that you will expect to have are you will be on the phone with the insurance company for a very long time. First with an operator, which has happened so many times in my experience, but unless you know somebody, it's going to be a lot better. And then the operator will sort of guide you towards an agent eventually. And then what the agent will ask you are specific questions like, and standard questions of course, like your age, if you're male or female, if you hold just an M1, if you hold an M2 or full M, if you've had insurance before, if you have insurance with a car at the moment, if you've been in any accidents in the past, if you've had any tickets in the past, anything and everything they will ask you. And then finally, what bike, so the make and model that you are hoping to insure. Also, if you are planning on adding anyone to insurance, they'll ask you that as well. And as I said, like a whole bunch of other questions. So be prepared to answer these questions, because in answering these, they will eventually give you a quote. And then as you call around, try and find the best quote for what you want. And yeah, it'll be a pretty long conversation to be honest, but well worth it when you do have that bike in mind and you have bought it. So a couple questions that came in on this topic. One question in particular was, does insurance price differ between brand new versus used bike? So new bikes will most likely be more expensive, but this question is also dependent on the make and model, of course. So for instance, let's say you want to get a new Kawasaki Ninja, that's going to be cheaper than buying a used, let's say, Aprilia or BMW. So even though the Kawasaki Ninja is new, it's definitely going to be cheaper than like a higher model. So those are things to consider. If you're looking at sort of like the same style bikes, old will most likely be cheaper, but only if there's like a 10-year difference is one thing that I've discovered. And again, feel free to leave your comment on this question, but 10 years kind of seems like that, like before 10 years you're going to start to see a more drastic difference in price in terms of used bikes. Another question that came in was for insurance companies that do in fact accept the fact that you've taken a rider's course, do they offer different rates, like based on the school that you went to? In calling around, I would say the answer is no. It does seem pretty standard that you will be receiving a 10% discount because you've done a rider's course. Please let me know if you've received any other discounts or something different, and something different than 10%. And because what I would like to do as well is to see, what the best school is in terms of service, in terms of what they offer, and if they offer better discount for a specific dealership, then it'd be great to kind of spread the word out there too for people to let them know. Next question is, so someone had mentioned that Honda has a deal going on where if you take a course from a specific organization, they'll offer a $200 discount. Is this a good deal? So I would, in answering this question, I would say it can potentially be a good deal if you really want to get a Honda bike. So for instance, a Honda CBR as as a starter. It can also be a bad deal because it depends on the organization for the riding school, right? And for instance, some riding schools will offer a different selection of bikes for you to try. Like the one that I had done with Motorsoul, you had different choices throughout the course. So maybe this organization will only promote Honda. So I would definitely look into the riding school because you want to make sure that if you are getting the $200 discount, you're going to benefit a lot from that riding school. So this will be this would be a preference for you. If you love the brand and the riding school provides a really good service and variety of bikes, and is convenient for you in terms of when they offer this riding school as well, right? Like over the weekend or over weekdays. So so that's how I can answer that one. Another question that came in, for insurance, I've been told to stay away from anything with an R in its model as it's really more expensive. It seems like across the board this is a pretty big yes. I think in terms of the risk and liability of these super sports bikes, you're going to be paying more for that. And then also what's kind of interesting that I came across was there are certain insurance companies that will not insure sports bikes and only cruisers. So look into that as well, and it might be best to mention that to the agent right away as opposed to go through all these questions and then at the end of the day they're like, oh wait, actually we can't insure Ducatis or BMWs. So be aware of that fact for sure. But one other thing that they mentioned was if you are getting a sports bike that's less than 500cc, you may not be paying a drastic amount. So again, it is going to be based on you and what you're looking for in insurance and your basic history. But less than 500cc is apparently a lot better than an R1 or 1,000, going up a lot higher. Next question that came in as well is how different would insurance be for something like a sports bike versus a cruiser? It's very similar to the last question. It does seem like a sports bike will be a lot pricier than a cruiser and that certain insurance companies won't insure sports bikes. So be on the lookout for that for sure. But also feel free to comment on this because if there is someone paying more for a Harley, for instance, than a Ducati, let me know because that would be I'd like to know the reasoning behind it, but also and the insurance company that you've gone with, and that it is possible. So that'd be kind of great to know. Another question that came in was how different the experience would be between dealerships that sell multiple brands of bikes versus one brand. I would say the best way to answer this is products and service. Find a dealership that has the bike that you want, but will also provide you with the best service from the start. It's very key because one thing that I knew was I was going to go with a dealership that no matter what happened to my bike, I could show up and they would automatically be able to help me right away. Like their service members are efficient, knowledgeable, willing to help me like no matter what is happening with my bike. They're dependable basically. So yeah, and kind of going back to that Honda example, if Honda has everything that you're looking for, product, services, bike, go for it. If they have only one of the three, I would maybe say, especially in Toronto, let me know if anyone has been able to find one brand dealerships that have motorcycles, because in asking around and from what I've discovered so far is we don't have any in Toronto specifically that have like, let's say, BMW motorcycles that they sell here downtown. You will be most likely going to a dealership that sells multiple bikes, brand new and used. So the one brand dealerships will be like outside the city, which is another factor. So great question. And those are all the questions that came in. I'm just realizing how long this video is, so I apologize for that. But I hope this does help anyone that's looking or hasn't started their research on insurance just yet and getting those quotes. Another thing I will mention actually that I found out is if you just hold your M1, a lot of insurance companies won't insure your bike with just an M1, so better to wait till you get that M2. So just a heads up on that as well. So again, thank you guys so much for watching my videos, for liking them. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because I have a blast making these videos. And anyway, that I can help you guys and answer any questions that come in, or even on my Instagram, you know, for those of you who have reached out to me directly. I love it. It's great to meet you guys, and feel free to contact, and because I know how exciting it is to get your first bike. So thank you so much, guys, and I hope you have a great weekend.